Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by today. If you are brand new here, my name is Clarissa, and today I am bringing you something a little bit different, but it is the very first episode of a little series that I'm hoping to create of several different videos, and it will be all about reselling, but my opinion on a specific topic. So if this is something that you're interested in, please do stick around and let's get started. All right, so the topic for today is going to be the loaded responsibilities of a reseller. And this was really geared towards anyone that was interested in reselling or maybe has dabbled just a little bit, but just wanted to have fun, or maybe just come and hang out with me on this lovely video. I do appreciate each and every one of you, so thanks so much. But I do have some notes to kind of help keep me guided and going in the right direction so that I don't get long-winded and start just babbling on. But the first thing that I think about when I think about reselling is the merchandise, right? You need to be able to resell something. So you are responsible for obtaining that merchandise, kind of like the purchasing department of a business. Same deal, you have to find a way to obtain merchandise. I do have a video that I'll link down below that talks about ways to get started at little to no cost, but you do have to be able to find the merchandise that you do want to sell and get it at a price that is low enough to give you margins to make a profit. So that also wraps in some budgeting aspects and knowing how much money you want to invest and knowing kind of your guidelines and your goals for that. And that can change over a course of time, but yeah, so budgeting was number 2, but we wrapped it right in with product and sourcing. That's a common terminology in the reseller world, is you're sourcing for material. So you're responsible for knowing what platforms you want to sell your merchandise on. I personally sell on eBay, Poshmark, and the Facebook Marketplace. There are so many more platforms out there, but understanding the rules and the regulations of those different platforms, the fees that are associated with the various platforms is important because those fees do cut into your profit margin, and shipping is also a whole nother beast, and what is required for each different platform can vary. So knowing the information, doing a little bit of homework, and then building on that as you go on. But the other thing when I think about platforms is it is wise to start with a platform before you jump into a multitude of them, so that you can kind of understand it, master it, become comfortable with it, and then moving on to possibly more than one platform. I know of a lot of different resellers that just use one, and then there are several resellers that use a multitude of platforms. So tapping into your reselling community and staying connected with your people, I always say it's where I found my tribe. So that is another aspect of where you can learn from. But out here on the internet, you certainly will come across a lot of different information and opinions. And that's the purpose of this video. But the purpose that I share the information that I do anyway is just to share not only my journey in the reselling world, but also my opinion. Everything that I share, all the information, the tips, the tricks, the knowledge, it's all just my opinion on what I think, what has worked, and certainly that can change as time goes on. I am not the same reseller that I was, 5 years ago. So you just evolve over time depending upon what direction that you want to go. The next topic or responsibility that comes with being a reseller is making sure that you're taking good pictures of the product that you're trying to sell, making sure that there are enough pictures that your customer can be engaged in the product so that they can move to the next step and actually purchase the product from you. So taking those photos, that takes time. You might love photography, you might not, but you certainly have to have those pictures so that, being online, being virtual, being like it's a remote world out there now. So knowing that what you're showing is exactly what your customer is going to receive, making sure that the item is completely looked over for and noted for any flaws, providing a good description, providing measurements if you're working with clothing in particular. However, I sell everything from clothing to hard goods. I provide measurements for everything that I sell so that even if it's a little trinket, my customer knows that they're getting, a 2-inch trinket versus something that in a picture seems like an 8-inch trinket. So I don't want to be misleading in any way, but there's that responsibility that comes with that when you're presenting that particular item up for sale. On to the next responsibility that comes with being a reseller is listing, right? So once you understand, your product that you're trying to sell and you take pictures of it and you know where you want to sell it, you actually have to list an item for it to sell. So unlisted items do not sell. They pile up and create a hoarder situation, which can happen. It can happen. I, for one, am definitely guilty of a death pile, but also known as a money pile, and it's always my work in progress because of how I operate my business, and my whole method to madness is just having an abundance so that if for any reason I cannot source or I choose not to source, then I can make sure that I have the merchandise to list to make sure that I'm getting up consistent listings. There are a lot of different opinions out there on having a minimum, maximum listings in a given day or week. And I do believe that consistently listing does help the overall algorithms on different platforms. But at the same time, I consistently list, and that doesn't mean that every day is a sales day or a wonderful sales day. So I do think that at the same time, depending upon what you're selling, makes a difference on how fast that particular item can sell and for how much it can sell for. Doing homework on anything that you're listing is super important. Knowing what the profit or what the price margin is for that particular item will help you be within the market of any other items that are similar or exactly the same that are already listed. But also knowing what these particular items have sold for, because you can list an item for however much you want to, but what it's actually going to sell for is completely different. If you do overprice, you just run the risk of an item sitting for a really long time. But sometimes there are what I call long tail items, and that just basically means that the item that you have may be for a particular person, buyer, because it's something that's just so very specific and unique that it's going to sit a while until the right buyer comes across it. Next item that you are responsible for is after your item sells, you are responsible for packaging and shipping the item. That means that you need to think about the safety and the materials that you're going to need in order to package it appropriately so that the item that you have sold is now going to reach your buyer safely and as they have purchased it. So there are a couple different things that come to mind when I'm thinking about the packaging. It is keeping it dry from any potential wet elements outside, so that if it is specifically like an item of clothing or electronics, you don't want it to arrive to your buyer all wet and soggy and gross. So there are just some measures that you need to take there. If you have breakable items, it is wise to package it with bubble wrap and paper, and just making sure that there's space within a box to be able to provide padding so that the item wouldn't break en route. Everybody's busy, including the shipping companies and the United States Postal Service, depending upon what platform you're working with or how you ship your items. There is always going to be another set of hands handling that, or multiple actually. There's tons of people that are going to be touching and handling this package before it actually arrives your buyer. And knowing that, just in the human aspect and element, the truth is that people have good days and bad days, rough days, busy days, stress days, and your package may be handled not quite the same way you would want to hand deliver it to someone. So it is important to be mindful of how you're packaging your items so that it does arrive to your customers safely and securely. And I'd like to add in my opinion, professionally, so that your buyer is looking at you as a respectable, responsible seller or business, and they could potentially come back and buy from you again because they feel secure about how you shipped the item. The last aspect that I'd like to throw in is customer service and follow-up. Along the way in the whole process of listing and your item is up there for sale, it's not uncommon to receive questions about a particular item. Maybe you forgot a measurement, maybe it's about how old an item might be. There's so many different questions, crazy questions at that sometimes, but you get questions from customers, and it's the customer service aspect to respond to those questions within a timely manner, because if you don't respond or it's not timely, you're potentially losing that sale and you're potentially losing that buyer. So to keep the whole rhythm flowing, you want to provide good customer service, always being kind and respectful. That is what people like, right? You're treating people how you would want to be treated. I know the new mantra out there is treat people how they want to be treated, but out here in the virtual world of reselling, you're not sure how they want to be treated, but most people want to be treated with promptness, right? They want to make sure that, or they want to know that they matter and that they are important because they're interested in this item. Whether it leads to a sale or not, you never know if this buyer is going to follow you or potentially want to buy from you in the future. So providing those answers, providing that customer service is very important on the image that you're providing to your business. And then when you are done with the sale, not all platforms allow this, but letting your buyer know that you're thankful for their purchase. I do this with a thank you card in the package itself, which I feel like is kind of a bit of a promotion, although they often probably end up in the recycling bin. Well, you hope they end up in the recycling bin, but they could end up in the garbage. But it's just a little thank you immediately upon the customer's receipt of the package. But then potentially if they recommend you to someone that they know that is looking for anything in particular that they may have come across in your store, but also for them themselves to come on back. And then if you have the opportunity to leave a feedback for a buyer that, when they purchased the item, they paid for it in a timely manner, or the way that they communicated was wonderful, giving your buyer those reviews is not only helpful for you for being a mindful seller, but it also is great customer service. So it kind of all wraps together, but it is a loaded job. Sometimes with the thought of reselling, it can be pretty phenomenal when you think about like, gosh, I can pick this item up for, 50 cents at a garage sale, and I see that it's selling online for $15. So that's $14.50 of profit that I could make. That's a nice thought, but in reality, that could potentially not be the case. So, having those bits and pieces in order, because there are some fun parts of reselling and then there's some not so fun parts of reselling. But I always say, if you're interested, give it a whirl. See if it's something that's for you. There are so many other people out here that provide information. Tap into those resources. And at the end of the day, you do ultimately have to make a decision on what works for you, no matter what element of those responsibilities we're talking about. But the information is out here for you to get. So hopefully you liked this information overall. It really is a general overview. And today I'm really just sharing my opinion. And I'll be bringing videos like this more often. My goal is to have one at least every single month, maybe more often. If you guys are telling me that you like it, if this is stuff that you like, definitely leave me a comment down in the comments below. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, join me on my journey here at Unlimited Gear. Again, my name is Clarissa. I do appreciate you for stopping by today, and thanks so much. Until next time, bye.